Hurry, old bear, we'll all gather round. Dear old bear, sit in your favorite chair. We'll sit all around, dear old bear.
There had been a birthday party at the house where Old Bear and his friends lived. A round table with a big round cloth on it had been left in the playroom, and there, on top of the table, was all the food that hadn't been eaten at the party. "Just look at it all," said Bramwell Brown. "We could have a feast if we could reach it." "It's making me feel very hungry," grumbled Duck. "There are a few crumbs on the floor," said Little Bear. "I'll look under the table to see whether anything good has been dropped." He popped his head under the tablecloth and squeaked with excitement. "Oh, come here, everyone," he called. "Quickly, come and look at this." The other toys hurried to join Little Bear. And they were soon all peering under the big round cloth. "It looks like a huge round tent," said Little Bear. "We could have a circus instead of a feast," said Bramwell Brown. "How do you have a circus?" asked Duck. "Well, everyone goes into the big top, or under the table in our case, and some people do tricks and some people watch," explained Old Bear. "And the people who watch clap and cheer," added Sailor. "It's a lovely idea," said Rabbit. "I could do some jumping tricks. I'm good at jumping." "Jumping isn't a trick," said Little Bear. "Rabbit could jump over me if he liked," said Zebra. "That would be a trick." "And I could walk a tightrope," said Sailor. "If I could borrow your pants, Little Bear, I could dress up as a clown too." "I could keep my pants," said Little Bear, "and be a clown myself. I just need to find a red nose." "I've got an orange beak," said Duck. "That's not quite what I meant," explained Little Bear. "I need a pretend nose." "Oh, wait a minute," cried Rabbit. He had remembered seeing a cherry on the floor which must have fallen off one of the cakes. Rabbit stuck the cherry firmly onto Little Bear's nose. "There," he said. "It matches your pants." Then Little Bear stood on his head and did a few clowny things. The others clapped and laughed. "That was very good, Little Bear," said Bramwell Brown. "But we will need lots more tricks if we're going to have a real circus." "I think I'm a bit old to do tricks," said Old Bear. "I'll see if I can find some things for us to use. And I'll make a poster to let everyone know we're going to have a circus," said Bramwell. "I'll come with you, Old Bear," said Duck. And they set off together to look for things that might come in useful. It wasn't long before Duck found some hoops and a skipping rope. Old Bear spotted some beanbags which were perfect for juggling. They picked up a few other bits and pieces, and then they piled the train full of bricks and set off towards the big top. Meanwhile, Rabbit and Little Bear were busy practicing. Camel was pretending to be a circus horse, and Little Bear and Rabbit were taking turns leaping on and off her back. Little Bear did quite well until he tried to do a handstand. He balanced on one hand for a moment and then fell off. "I didn't really mean to do that," he said. Next was Sailor. He seemed to do a little dance before sailing over Camel's ears. It looked quite spectacular, but he didn't think he could do it again. But no one could stay as long on Camel's bouncing humps as Rabbit. He could stand on one leg and waggle his ears at the same time. He could even hop up and down and jump in the air. The others were very impressed. It looked like he was going to be the star of the show. Bramwell Brown was just putting the finishing touches to his poster. It said Grand Circus and showed a picture of Little Bear dressed as a clown. Old Bear and Duck emerged from under the tablecloth. "We're ready when you are," said Old Bear. "Right then," said Bramwell. "Let's begin." Old Bear banged the drum to let everyone know that the show was going to start. Bramwell and Duck lifted the tablecloth to make an entrance, and all the toys marched in to take their places. Inside it looked just like a real circus. Old Bear and Duck had made a ring of brightly colored bricks. The skipping rope was tied between two table legs to make a tightrope, and it was all decorated with red, white, and blue ribbons. Rabbit and Zebra had been chosen to perform the first trick. To start with, Rabbit ran across the ring and leapt over Zebra's back. Then he jumped through a hoop held out by Little Bear. And then he jumped over Zebra again, dived through the hoop, and landed in Old Bear's lap. But all the toys thought it was part of the act, and they clapped and cheered loudly. Rabbit would have done it a few more times, but it was Sailor's turn to come into the ring next. Everyone held their breath as Sailor made his way over to the tightrope. He had found a little paper umbrella to help him balance, and it waved wildly as he tried to keep his feet on the rope. He did fall off once, but he landed in the handkerchief which Little Bear and Rabbit were holding outstretched beneath him. They helped him back up, and this time he managed to balance and juggle at the same time. "Well done, Sailor," called Old Bear. "That's wonderful." It was Dog's turn next. He came into the ring with one of his rubber bones balanced on the end of his nose. "I was going to balance too," he said, trying not to wobble the bone, "but I couldn't remember where I buried the other one." Rabbit offered him one of the cherries that he'd found instead and placed it carefully on top of the bone. Dog managed to balance the bone and the cherry, and everyone was very impressed until the bone fell off and they realized that the cherry was stuck to it. Still, everyone clapped and Dog bowed, ate the cherry, and left the ring. As he left, Camel came in. She trotted around the ring until Rabbit appeared. He leapt onto a hump where he perched, bouncing about, standing first on one leg and then on the other. "I could never do anything like that," said Duck sadly, as everyone clapped. "It doesn't matter, Duck," said Bramwell kindly. "Circuses are just meant to be fun, and we can't all be good at everything." "What shall I do for my next trick?" called Rabbit. "Hop!" shouted one of the toys. Camel thought they shouted "stop," and stopped so suddenly that Rabbit sailed through the air and hit the tablecloth. Grabbing wildly at it, he clung on and then, quite slowly, pulled the whole thing down. Plates of food landed all around the table, and in a second the circus tent had vanished. Rabbit, unhurt, wriggled out from under the cloth and looked at the food lying all around them. "Oh dear," he said. "Did I do that?" "Never mind, Rabbit," said Old Bear. "We may have lost our circus, but we've found the feast. We never thought about pulling down the tablecloth to get all the food. Have a bun." "Oh, I could juggle with these buns," said Rabbit. "Let's just eat them, shall we?" suggested Old Bear. And so all the toys sat down under the table where the big top had been, and they enjoyed the food almost as much as they'd enjoyed the circus.